love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't crack. And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look up. Don't be scared.
So abrupt and weird how I cut it every time. I know, I need to sort this out. Honestly, I kind of don't care about the music. It's just kind of a thing that lets me get everything sorted as I'm getting ready. I'm so sorry. That is the real truth. And I hope it's fun to listen to while, I'm getting everything sorted. And hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Hello to Casey, Lucas, Johnny, Blackberry, Bad Words Gang, Aquafrost, Leo, and again, Bad Words Gang. And of course, hello to all other participants who will join as we go. The usual members, the irregular members, everybody all together. Hi and welcome. Right? It's so crazy. Almost on time today. Almost on time. So let's get into things, I guess. Really nothing all that surprising, nothing that we haven't been able to expect prior to, because we said there are these gaps that are far more likely for the market to actually close. I am slightly disappointed not seeing 5840 and 20 range where we still have officially the leftover of this gap, which would have been real nice if we would have closed that, right? So just kind of for us to know what it is that we're talking about here, right? It is a gap that is still relevant there. Just move this. So you can see there's still a gap there that was not closed, and we are now already starting to tumble down to close the one below us. But let's follow up on the momentum and see really what does it look like, whether we are about to move up again and then finalize the session, so finalize the movement and close that gap as well before we head on downwards. Or is this it, right? Aqua, hit the like. Absolutely, thank you very much. Definitely do hit the like, subscribe, ring the bell, smash the screen, throw the computer out the window, all that stuff, all the stuff that YouTube wants. Now, objectively, 30 minutes is bearish for far too long. It still may persist enough to close this gap first because it's just all that close, 5,671 range, and we're roughly about we can call it about barely $20 above, so barely. Barely that, so this gonna be, should be rather easy to close. We are in oversold territory, 30 minutes as well. So think about it, means more action over the same sort of amount. Well, it looks like basically like you're gonna have a small amount of candlesticks, but sure, that candlestick represents 30 minutes of price action, and during that 30 minutes, there's a lot that could be done. On the grand scheme of things, this is actually still, some would not see why I say that, but potentially positive, because this may be where this 30-minute temporary, of course, we call it temporary because it's just short term. Hello, Mircha. Temporary sort of kind of relief rally of sorts, or just part of the trend, really, just part of how the channel works. Is just, again, a very temporary sort of action. If you people oftentimes tend to look at the very last candlestick compared to maybe four other ones behind it, depending on the time frame, not realizing they're not really seeing the big picture, right? The bigger picture always matters. So basically, we've gone down significantly. Let's call it x amount of points. Let's call it 100 points, 10 points. Doesn't matter how you want to call it, because we're gonna make an it's more of the equation idea here, right? And we've corrected roughly about 2 points out of these 10, or 20 out of these 100. So all in all, we are still, if continuing with the downtrend, we've retained more of that downwards pressure and action that we actually, actual downwards price, right? Decreasing price, rather than ascending price or ascending channel. And so at the end of the day, what happens is that overall, if we progress longer and more so in a particular direction, means, of course, a lower or higher price in reality. If we're saying on the 30 minutes, we may be testing higher, doesn't mean we're going to correct all of it. We may just be able to correct just a tiny bit, and hopefully just about enough to close that gap. We still are at 700s, technically speaking, 696. I might as well call it 5700 still. It's pretty significantly far from 58, and 58 and 40. This is really what I would like the market to do, just for technical OCD sort of analyst part in me that really would like to have that close, and that will have, I know, right, at a lot more ease, knowing that we have no chores basically left behind, and we can progress in a singular direction with more confidence. So, but it is what it is. It may persist still higher for the time being. We're saying 30 minutes, so not too strong. Potentially, maybe just getting close to where it was earlier. That will match with this previous highs, still descending channel. So basically almost as if it's squeezing the whatever is left out. 45 minutes is pretty much at the very same as 30 minutes. It's just slightly more condensed. Pretty much the very same pattern, pretty much the same structure, which is not surprising, right? They're pretty much stem from a very similar moving average, right? So they end up being very, very similar subsequently. Now, 1 hour, on the other hand, is not looking healthy. Why? Because if you zoom in and look closely, you're going to realize the following very, very simple thing. We are closing, and it's very hard to see because it's really squished, but if you're objective again about things, what is going on here? Right, we had that relief rally, right? In the market, we've seen convergence, divergence of the forces, but as tiny as it is, but it does represent a lot, because now we're already at the 1 hour stage where it represents more, if you will. But you can see the forces are closing in on one another, so we're having convergence, which means the outcome of this process is pretty simple. The outcome is that the more likely than not is that the bearish representative momentum, that red line, will overtake, become dominant, and when it is dominant, vice versa, just like when the green is, you get bullish price action. When this is dominant, you get bearish price action. Being bearish, already in oversold territory, cannot result good for the SPX. I'm sorry, that's just as simple as it is, at least for this duration of time. So if anything, this is currently signifying that we're about to close that gap, and maybe even slightly lower. Like, this is not great. On the hourly time frame, considering that again we are in the last final hour of the market, think about it this way. What does that mean for the next hours that this represents? So the person being in the market, again, switching over, and instead of being bullish, it's becoming bearish. Whether it's temporary or not, we'll see in a second. Whether it's more or it has more potential to get prolonged. We'll see. Of course, we understand, we consider in mind that when this does end up testing long enough, which is not that far, we're pretty close, the average amount of period or time that we spend in oversold territory before starting to overturn and actually become bullish one way or another, potentially giving us that closure of the gap, considering the time frame that's 1 hour, it might mean this. It might. I'm definitely not gonna be upset nor complaining. I promise you about that. That would be something that I would like to see. The big problem here starts to appear, which again, wink, wink, double entendre. It is basically on larger time frame. Here it is. So it is still very bearish, right? It's very, very distinctively bearish with clear divergence, signifying the acceleration of the bearish action. And so this kind of overtakes and overshadows everything we've seen on the smaller time frames, and so shows that we're far more likely to go and become far more bearish in the upcoming sessions, considering that we're on the 4 hourly. Every 2 candlesticks represent a session, basically. And so subsequently, this is just getting started. So just by looking at this and kind of trying to assess where we can go based on the current channel, I would argue that we can easily retest the bottom of the channel. But given the fact of the matter that now it is a lower low than it was before, right? From before, considering this trajectory kinda, it may result in 53, 5400, which if you follow up was part of the thesis. As you can see, you can kind of identify that very same level already being tested many times. In fact, there's like this. Let me show you, because when I will show it on screen, it will kind of make more sense, because when you see it, it makes more sense. Let's just make it black like so, make it thinner like so, just kind of so you can see the idea and the little rough give or take estimate, and I think that is located here. Yes, it definitely is. And so yeah, there is a range here. You want to see? Here it is. Again, I know, like, Greg, you didn't get it perfectly right. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. What you are looking for is the range or level at which you'll have more convergence between this resistance and, or rather, entanglement of this support or resistance level, whichever you want to call it, with a price action. So this was not immediately obvious, but you can tell this area kind of gives it away very distinctively. What was ceiling became floor. Again, I didn't perfectly get it right, but that's close enough. And so what you get here is, yeah, now you can see. Now it's a little bit more accurate. Things of this nature, all these various retests confirm that this is actually the level. Of course, let's not neglect the rest of the candlesticks that may appear to be more obvious if it's on a smaller time frame, but you get the idea. You definitely can see the price action, retesting and getting entangled within these levels. So my assessment is when we're going to be on the right end, on the back end of things, we will end up testing that level and maybe even lower. Remember, the further out we prolong this process, let's say if for some reason the market prolongs sort of further out, the bottom below becomes even deeper, right? So it's not good to try and fight against the trend. We're looking at 5,300 in this case, another $100. And you can see that the momentum is slowly, actually quite rapidly becoming bearish and quite distinctively. And so I would be aware. I would simply be aware. Am I, saying that it's going to happen tomorrow, within the next hour? No, I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying that this is obviously becoming more bearish. So to be more certain, what do? We go to the further time frames, and something that I've been talking about in the previous live sessions and warning about. Look at this. It's becoming more and more distinctively bearish, right? Although in overbought territory, but this is very sort of sharp, right? This is very much a quick transition similar to this, and it appears to be that we're basically moving towards another impulse that is going to be very, very similar, which, as you can see, all in all, this resulted in a significant lower low. Of course, with the retest, that's a normal thing, but again, a significant lower low with a retest, and that's how we have the trend moving downwards. Although the channel currently is very confused, it still has the average that is mixed in with the current downwards channel with the sideways, right? Because for the market doesn't just go downwards, right? The same way you don't transition from third gear into reverse, right? You go lower and lower again, second, first, neutral, and only then you transition to reverse, right? Same way. The market goes very quick, slows down, goes flat, and starts then eventually reversing. So that's kind of it. Hello, Philip. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Hope you're having a good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever you're having, wherever you're at. Right, let's continue with this. So the daily is not yet distinctively bearish, but it is starting to overturn in such a way that it appears to be more so sooner bearish than later. Now, if we're going to look at the weekly, on the other hand, it's kind of confusing, but then again, don't forget this may take so long because we're bullish in oversold territory. In other words, this to me signifies very easily the confirmation that we may persist in oversold territory long enough, retesting and breaking in and out with a weekly, right? It just means that it's going to take some time, probably like a week and a bit at least. If not, I mean, we are looking at a single candlestick here at minimum, if not several of them. And so more so onwards, we're looking, if that's going to take a little longer, we still are in oversold territory, which means it's going to be a lot more painful, if you will, continuing downwards, which sort of confirms this trend, as we said, after retest this conveniently, the edge of the bottom of this channel, right? Conveniently, which correlates with other forces. And then, potentially, having some correction, because that would be a significant downwards trend. And normally, as we say, for every significant movement, we have a corrective movement. But yeah, don't be that surprised that all in all, we will end up retesting and getting locked in a very similar fashion. For example, we can go very low or with the slippage, wink, wink. This was slippage like I'm a banana. It was just respecting the channel. It appears to be slippage if you're looking from the standpoint of the horizontals, right? From the standpoint of the verticals, not always, depending how you're switching over. From the diagonals, sorry, not verticals, diagonals. Pardon me. But that's more sophisticated stuff again. Currently, my one-on-one academy is full. Sorry. I hope I've said this a million times enough. When it will be reopened, I'll have spots. I'll notify. For now, it's locked for a while. Market's still very bearish. Yeah, that's it. We can conclude this. No, I'm just kidding. Tickers, boys and girls. Let's look at your tickers. Yeah? But otherwise, you can kind of see we're having some volatility, but on the grand scheme of things, nothing really changed. We still are looking for the closure of that candlestick within 5 days. So these are very significant 5 days that we're about to have. And so the lower this closes, the more significant it is, and the more it signifies that we are transitioning into a downwards spiral, if you will. It's going to take some time. Oh, fuel cell. Ooh, Philip. I actually like fuel cell. I'm not holding it, but I like it. Some of my friends I know hold it. But so basically what we were saying is, all in all, the more bearish this candlestick will print within the next following 5 days, the more it will appear to be more as bearish part of the price action on the 6 months, and solidified to be exact, to some extent, right? And representative of that downwards structure that is building here, that we're not able to break the 50, and once we will converge the forces, which they are slowly doing exactly that, right? They're slowly moving towards each other. When they converge and start diverging, basically the red will kind of, I can't draw this to save my own life, because it's too large, right? Just kind of like that. And when they cross over, so what becomes dominant? The bearish force, which starts to pull us downwards, and then inevitably entering lower and lower, oversold, and then, as you can imagine, the price action with this is not going to be all too positive. We are talking about a 5,400 and maybe even lower, considering that we're looking at the 6 months. We are looking at least one step is 5,400-ish, and the second step is probably closer to 5,000. And if I may be so audacious and say that I can actually see from here, roughly the third step, which all in all will result in, give or take, if I'm not wrong, to roughly with 4,900, 4,800, potentially then another retest to 5,000. I'm not going to be all that surprised. It's going to be very typical of the price action. But other than that, that's kind of Johnny. Is that? I hope that's a joke. I hope that's a very bad joke. I mean, if it's serious, I will sure as shit look at it. But you realize there's like zero value to actual technical analysis, and it's a lot more driven by crazy, impulsive, emotional children that think they know what they're doing in the stock market, and some adults who are more like children in the stock market. All right, Johnny. Yeah, I had a feeling it was a crude joke. Um, hello, lovely people. Hello, Christoph. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're feeling well and doing well. So yeah, I think let's go into tickers. I mean, we're kind of done with that. Let's go. Let's go fuel cell. That is the first one I noticed. I think I'm trying to go over this. I don't think I've missed anything. Fuel cell looks like shit. Okay, just to be like really really honest about it, looks like an utter pile of garbage, right? It's just going down and down and down and down and down. Unlike some other stocks I'm familiar with that actually have some. But look, fuel cell, I think we spoke about this a while back. Fuel cell, given the fact of the matter that it is part of a different sector than the rest of the market, it means there's high likelihood that it's not going to suffer as badly. It still might. It's not like it's completely detached and divided from the overall market and sentiment. The problem is not really with the market. The only way the fuel cell is connected is because it's very similar participants, if not to some extent the same ones and the same. And subsequently, some of them are driven by sentiment. If they're afraid and they're going to get rid of their entire portfolio, they're going to get rid of fuel cell as well, not thinking about it for too long either. So it may get affected, but fuel cell is kind of more in the energy sector and more of a niche part of it. The hydrogen partition, if you know, there's a lot of interplay between how the hydrogen is generated, in that sense, that what sort of electricity is used for that, whether it's green or blue, right? Basically, you kind of need I'm pretty confident you can understand that the blue is the dirty way, right? And the green is the clean way, if you will. Because if you think about it, because if we, the same way and the same analogous that we do with Tesla cars or any EVs for that matter, right? If you burn coal on one end just to make the electric car go, you're not really, like, there's an equilibrium between the two forces, right? There's like a balance. There's a fine middle to be found there. And so, yeah, fuel cell have a good idea, in my humble opinion. I do think that fuel cell, hydrogen will be far more dominant in the future. People more so. I do know that a lot of good inventions that were kind of apparently misled into the wrong directions and eventually just were destroyed, or all sorts of weird stuff. You can look at this topic online. There's plenty of information. Bottom line is we do have it right now as is in a very kind of diaper-like shape and form. It is far more useful for infrastructure, for things like ports, right? Stations of sorts, manufacturing in various ways as well. So it's a lot less useful for your average EV, but it's not trying to be. So the story is pretty solid. There's plenty of value there, in my humble opinion, in terms of a story, in terms of what it is. But where do technicals come in line? And there's a big problem with this. It is not directly correlated with the energy sector as it probably should be. In fact, badly detached. And I think you need to look into the financials of the company to understand whether there is any likelihood of them improving over a longer period. But if you look at the technicals, right, if you look at the monthly, it looks like not yet, but eventually at some point later, when completed the whole process, sure, no problem, there is some bullish momentum hidden under the surface there. But how much really is it, and are you willing to wait for that long for that amount of risk as well? That is something you have to consider, because it may take quite a long time. As you can see, the setup on the 3 months, which is again coming to an end within 5 days, and so really it might be signaling towards a relatively decent sort of rally, but it is very misleading, I would argue, the way the structure works. And so I would not just jump in on this and say, oh, that's it, now is the time to buy. You need to realize that there's something very significant going on for the price to go from this sort of behavior to this sort of behavior, from these highs to these lows. So there's like a lot behind the scenes. The technicals will not be able to tell you, right? Technicals will only be able to hint at the current sentiment based upon these other factors that are influencing that sentiment, right? So you're kind of seeing the conclusion, if you will. Concluded. No shit. English much, motherfucker? Okay. So, but yeah, this is definitely bearish on the 6 months, which again, now is sort of next time frame we start to be super attentive to as we switch over to the next set of candlesticks in terms of the 3 month. And that means everything we're about to do is fresh and very, very important for seeing how the 6 month will look like. Because if we made 10 steps down and then 10 steps up, we ended up exactly where we started, which neither side wants. Now, what else? Yeah, I think that's it about fuel cells. So objectively, it's problematic. It's in shambles. And of course, it has some potential because it's in shambles. Not always necessarily the best reason to be buying something because it's super, super cheap. Beforehand, ask yourself why it's so cheap. Does it have the necessary potential? Does it have, the right ingredients, the right management? Do they have the right financials? What is the story? What's going on? Why this behavior? All sorts of things. And if combined and still you have a positive conclusion, of course, there's portfolio management that goes into play. Like there's a lot more to add into the equation. But generally speaking, you may be looking at a potential position right there for you, right? That's that for this bit. Let's see what else. So Jimmy, we're not gonna do. I'm sorry. LUV. LUV. We will say. Oh. So let's see if again, technicals are reflective. Oh, this isn't so. No data. Okay, cool. No data. Okay, that makes sense. That is all over the place and so discombobulated and confusing, like I haven't seen in a while. But if I would have to draw a conclusion, gun to the head, it may appear as if it has some upwards movement, upwards potential, right? Which roughly translates to 39 maybe-ish, 40 on a good day. Which is this, again, the fact that it's very, very much a sort of this bullish convergence that we're having, and it appears to be that it's going to be more bullish than bearish, if you will. But let's not jump to conclusions yet. We know that we can test at the 20 range, giving us potentially a retest of this median that you can see, the yellow one. All right. Subsequently, it's not going to be significant enough, so just a regular retest. Because we're looking at the 6 months, and as we saw, a lot of bearish momentum on the 1 year, although kind of mixed. We still are seeing bullish momentum, as I said, that plays very neatly with that convergence and with the median, pardon me, of the channel. Then you have this of the current, well, wider channel than the smaller ones, smaller than the wider ones, of course. And it's very bullish. So, and 3 months, although we're coming to an end, as we said, 5 days still, all in all, it's more bullish than bearish. Now, basically, this is very positive, temporary, but be ready to be swooped off your feet, if you will. Even if it's gonna be, a whole couple of days that are bullish still, they will still work probably within the framework of. And if I'm zoom in on the really short term price range, it's very visible how you have that shoulder, right? Another shoulder, well, the head. The head, right, neckline, head, almost thingy, and then potentially another shoulder, which may result in an upwards sort of leaning, looking like trend. Why? Because again, the shoulder does not have to be longer nor shorter. It has a lot of other reasons to why it happens to be what it happens to be. But based upon the current location and the channels as they already played out, the cycles, if you will, this appears to be a lot more bearish to me than bullish and potential. And so for going back, tracing back to the larger time frames that matter, it sort of falls in line very neatly with the behavior and the pattern, and just kind of plays along with what we saw before. Of course, on the some of the time frames it's still bullish, but on the vast majority, those who kind of make things difficult and matter most, at least within framework of X amount of days, they do appear a lot more bearish, whether we like to admit it or not. That is the reality. Like everything else, it's not that surprising. The market is shifting over together. SLV. SLV. Slavy? Slavy. Hello, just joined back again. I see, missed the first 20 minutes. No worries, Mikey. You can, rewind it and rewatch. It is kind of important because we've gone through the SPX. Although I don't think that anything surprising if you watched yesterday's live. You guys know it takes a little bit more serious price action, nor anything super quick and unraveling as we speak, right? Something that is breaking news and crazy, completely off the wall, if you will, sort of thing, right? And only then, I lost my train of thought. Damn it! I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. Damn it! Probably not important. Stickers, schmickers. There's everyone for using the star. Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll check this out in a second. All right, let's check SLV. Do know a lot of people like to hold this. I mean, it's pretty evident that we've been moving inside this uptrend, but to those who are more hawk-eyed will notice that there is more or less this feeling of deterioration. I mean, let's be frank that the trend here, this is a distinct uptrend. This is a transition to more of this sideways flat trend. Not going to be surprised if it's going to result in this, eventually resulting in this, playing along very neatly with the market. Look, ETFs will not save your portfolio the same way that things, it's not meant to float. It's a very simple equation. What makes this ETF more buoyant in a very turbulent, very deep waters market, right? What does it have above or better than anybody else or any other thing, so to speak, to have that advantage? It doesn't. And so it's not going to be all that surprising that if the rest of the market goes, sunny side up, right? It's not going to be all that surprising the market will end up doing something similar, although it's still pointing out that in some areas of the market, you may have a little bit greenish momentum left. Not a lot. Let's not get crazy and, overexcited. There's not a lot of it, right? I mean, we can see on the screen. And this is just getting started. Remember, you see how short-lived the bullish trend is, and it kind of hit all the markers that we said, whether it's on Palantir, right? We hit the 95-ish range, like I said. It's what is that? It's 90. I mean, generally I was saying, of course, 95, but it's 95.26. Of course, we can see it sort of tested it from the upper side of things and then end up slipping significantly below it, showing that it's basically distinct movement downwards, not just a corrective temporary short range movement. Tesla, give or take what I said, very close, very close. Like we got to 287. My so my lowest area for it was 295, 300, 333. Are we saying it's all concluded? This, movement upwards concluded? Well, for the time being, we're starting to see again, obviously, as you can see on the screen and on the stochastic hour side, that we're slowly becoming more and more bearish, even if temporarily so. Will that be the thing that persists? Well, honestly, I cannot tell you. What I can tell you that we are becoming more bearish, correct? And so we have to follow up and make sure that GPS and what we see, in front of our windshields are not in discrepancy, and they basically are in agreement more so. But what is it that we're actually seeing in front of us? And as we said, potentially a retest of 300 psychological and break down and look at this beautiful thing, kind of doing that. And who says it cannot correct internally downwards, bleed a little bit, and then correct back up internally to roughly that 300 area, that at that stage when it's starting to move downwards, everybody hyper focused on what they see from day to day and think it's maybe a good time to sell, when in reality it could be a good time to buy, just to rally to that high to start creating what we would call a head and shoulders of sorts, right? Remember, it doesn't have to be identical, symmetrical. There are certain conditions that define this as a head and shoulders. And yeah, that's kind of what that appears to be, at least in the time being. Actually, under the water 2 weeks. Oh my god, you got that, Christoph, you got that thing. It transitioned to you, or somebody else cursed you as well. Whoever opened up a voodoo doll shop needs to stop this shenanigans. This is not funny. Hello, just joined back to we said that, right? Where's the romance? Dickers, schmickers. NVO, we said, right? NVO. Woo, okay. That's the weekly? Okay, don't get too excited. Still evidently, very obviously, downwards pressure, not even yet reaching oversold territory, spending some time there, very similar to how it naturally does, giving you a retest of whatever the hell super low that is in comparison to where we're at right now, which is not all that horrible if you truly think about it. Although even if it plays it on the bottom end of things, and because this time it was on the top, it's like, kind of like that to the bottoms. 48. That's actually pretty steep. I mean, it's like 30 something percent, 35-ish area, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not pleasant. And that no one's toxic. Like, I didn't even mention this, right? The unpleasant volatility, or maybe into the wedge. If you're kind of lucky, you're going to get lower prices through the wedge. An overall result, several years out, it goes up. It makes sense. But until then, you need to survive. Right, so not too difficult. NVO is pretty easy. Wedge downwards, as we can see. Ascending wedge downwards, which is an insane thing to say, but it does exist. Ticker schmickers, time to get some plug. That's actually true, Bedwars. Actually true. I need to be getting some plug. I just hate that I just spent a whole bunch of money on buying a car, so I really don't have unnecessary money right now. So yeah, by the way, those who don't know, I've been looking for a particular model and particular make of a car for a little while and all that, and I was actually finally able to obtain it, and I actually got it today, earlier in the morning. I've been going on back and forth with somebody over this for like with many people for like 2 months, but with a current buyer I ended up buying from several weeks. So it was quite a process. Still plenty of work ahead of me on that car, but I'm absolutely happy and satisfied. And so yeah. NVIDIA, please. I'm curious, once NVIDIA bounce and tracks with the SPX, what kind of upside range are we looking at before the next pullback? Mike, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. The pullback is going to be very painful, and unlike the rest of the assets, Nvidia is really doing exactly as it should, right, under the behavior of the indices. And look, I can be utterly insane. I mean, the current levels that we're currently having, I've predicted and said they will happen. No surprises there. You can see it on the screen right now, right? In the context of the price action, it's pretty easy to read. You can literally see. The only thing is that it started breaking, as you can tell, earlier than expected, right? Earlier than expected. And that is lots of weakness right here, I can say, like lots. And so Nvidia is actually doing worse slightly than the rest. And we spoke about the 110, 100, 95.41, 91, 12, 91, 90.47, 91.12. So there's like a whole array of supports and resistances here between the 100 and 75 right there. But if we want to look objectively at the momentum, right, from a larger, so the longer standpoint, what do we see? That it appears to be similar, just a little bit longer. Not, well, actually, now let's not go crazy. What are we seeing? Remember how we said the market will eventually end up correcting. It doesn't matter whether it ends up correcting one place or another, which can get prolonged, which right now we ended up, getting rejected by the median. In other words, this is not, this is not indicative of your potential downwards trend, but how oversold we are on the weekly and how about to be oversold we are on Nvidia. So short range, I wouldn't play upside on a downwards trend. Okay, you're basically going against the grain. Bad idea. Pulls. Hello. AMD. Let's do AMD, of course. Let's do AMD. What do you mean? AMD, not bad idea. I'm not against AMD. I even have AMD here prematurely. I bake cake before you come in. You see, I was prepared. I knew you're gonna come in and ask for AMD. No, I'm lying. Which, of course, no, I'm just kidding. It's just, and to be more serious, the analysis from before, and right now it's a very distinct downwards channel since it's so strong and been held for so long. Of course, now it cannot stop by showing it off. But still, we kind of concentrated on this sort of behavior, right? As you can tell, ish. Let's see why though. I'm probably assuming it's heading in a larger time frame. Yeah, there we go. There's our uptrend that is still taking place, right? Here it is. In fact, that I marked it before. And so there's some upwards movement that correlates with this, giving you roughly 120. So $10, not all that crazy, maybe 120. No, that's too far. 120 range basically for now on the weekly. Because there's a lot of uncertainty. Monthly is very bearish. You can see right there. So all in all, even though we said some upwards price action, all in all, the overall result is like with the rest of the indices. It appears to be is downwards price action, or more so can play out some form of head and shoulders kind of way. I'm exaggerating again, right? Whatever kind of thing, which is tiny head and shoulders of its own, right? It's going to be a head and shoulders of a smaller structure within the larger structure. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Hope you feel better soon, Christoph. Yeah, definitely get better, bro. Definitely hope you feel better. 39-ish LUV. Thank you. I'm ready. I've been timing LUV. Show me your LUV, baby. Oh, nice. Amusing. Good, Christoph. Good. I show you all the LUV, brother. You come to the Discord, I'll give you all the LUV I have. All of it. Hope you feel better soon. Absolutely. Feel better from all of us. Speedy recovery. What you bought? What? You bought the car? Yep, I did get it. Did you get Tesla? No, I did not get a Tesla. I got the crazy little hot hatch that I will brag in quotation marks, will wink, to the members in the chat. I'll show you. It's a bit of a, it's a Chevrolet. It's a fun little car. And then I'm gonna improve to some extent and make it even more fun. I don't like to make it too noisy, too sort of stand out, but it's there's a lot to do. There is a lot to do though, right? I haven't even gotten to the insurance bit properly yet, so I'm not gonna lie, because it was all very rushed, a lot of stuff to do and a lot of things that I had to do throughout the day regardless of it. No, but it's not a Tesla. I'll definitely wouldn't mind having a Tesla. Teslas are amazing. And I'm not stupid, and people here are not stupid. They don't burn cars because they don't like Elon or something dumb like that. So yeah, I would love a Tesla. If anybody right now feels like they really want to get rid of their Tesla and just send it my way for free, probably on autopilot, I'm not going to complain. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. A Volga? Black Volga Classic? Черный boomer, black BMW. Look like a black Volga guy. No, I'm not a black Volga guy. No, I'm a hot pink Beetle kind of guy. Doesn't it show? I have all the confidence in the world, bro. I can drive a pink unicycle and I'll still be confident, you know. Whatever you give me, a Hellcat, not a Hellcat, a Hellcart, Damien. No, not a Hellcat, Hellcart. It's like in Jackass, like a shopping cart, you know. So that sort of thing. Bedwars gang, Nike at 65. Shit, that's actually pretty interesting. Let's see how Nike is doing. Hellcart. Will you look at that? Who could have known? Who could have predicted that? You tell me. Who is so amazing with such a great hairline and flawless hair, and has two thumbs and probably smiling at the mic right now. You cannot see me, but I'm smiling. And I have two thumbs, I swear. Was able to predict that. Who? You tell me. What do you say? What do you say, bad words? Was I correct, madam? Did we get what we expected? Shit, this is so early. Damn, this is so premature. Damn. But we said we have more downtrend, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure I remember we said to have more downtrend. Of course, this was the first thing to do. But damn. Damn, we have been doing some pulling downwards price action. What is that gap? Me don't like that gap. Yoda did know. Yogurt. Not Yoda. Here we don't listen to Yoda, we listen to yogurt. AMD Advanced Money Destroyer. Just kidding. No, but it's true. AMD. Look, AMD are a good competition to Nvidia right now, when Intel, taking some of their lunch as well. There's a fun dynamic there, and I think there is some money to be made. Of course, not in that necessarily. I mean, you know what? Even in the long run, probably even as from an investment standpoint, but still overbought significantly. So wait, right? Nvidia needs to be going down still. And AMD and Nvidia and all of them. So, yeah, plenty, a lot. What do we do with Nike? Well, I mean, let me just kind of take an objective look at this. Still downwards. Very distinct, lots of pain come to mind. It is weekly, so there's plenty of downward pleasure to be had here. It is very good, very good. I am not gonna be surprised if what we're looking at is the future retest of this wonderful channel. It's gonna be wunderbar. I cannot draw a straight line, damn it. It is just so not fun when you cannot draw a straight line. And it is kinda like there. Cool beans. In fact, that 51, I'll probably call it 50. 50. It is probably a 50. It probably is a 50. Is it a 50? Nah, 50 is separate. There's like two separate things there. They're close though. And that 67, I would probably call a 67. It appears to be that all these things are legitimately exactly what they are. And on the 3 months, you're still very bearish. Which remember, I'm not sure I said this, but I think what we said, well, like 50, 40 range, right? High 40s, low 50s is where I think I was saying that I'm gonna be liking it to be added to my portfolio, and hopefully by then I add it to my portfolio. Oh, AMD, you actually want me to check it out? I mean, I've checked out the AMD, right? We said it's gonna be going, overall downwards, of course, with some volatility. There is some upwards testing that we expect to see, like 130, for example, maybe. Yeah, I don't see anything too distinct there still, but yeah, give or take 130 ish. But still, then resulting in a downwards test, downwards, testing the channel, and over time breaking lower. Quickly, there was an echo in the force. I told my Tesla to drive to you. A month ago, I didn't arrive yet. Yep, right, Casey. I think it might have had a problem with the big puddle in between. I've heard it's problematic sometimes. Oil, Lucas. Lucas. Alrighty, loyal. That is a good one. Lucas, you just knocked it out of the park. Oil, although everybody were expecting it to continue down with Trump's narrative now, was saying, yeah, we got like super low, but we still are moving upwards. But still, don't just trust me on that. Let's just see what the analysis says, right? Currently, we are starting to correct within that framework, and we know this framework very, very well. Now we're kind of moving, we're chugging along one channel to the right, as we normally do, or this is more the more narrow version of it, really. Wink, wink. What you're going to see here is more going to be more distinct. But what you're going to be realizing is that now we're moving towards the convergence of both forces. Yes, it takes forever, right? Both channels. And we've tested these all to death, and it appears to be that we are now currently in bullish momentum, but we're kind of running out, and ironically, we're doing this in not the best place, so it may result still with some retesting and some unpleasantness. But the further out we go, the more we're going to understand something very interesting, that oil is actually stupid bullish. And we've been waiting to kind of finalize this process for a very long time, right? You can kind of see where that resistance slash support line resides. Here it is, these big peaks, kind of right there. And that, so basically what was floor then became ceiling, now became floor again. But notice how the trend is sort of shrinking inwards, but we are moving towards that convergence, and very similarly to how we said the S&P, once hitting that escape velocity, or no, sorry, but not escape velocity, terminal velocity, right? Resistance, if you will, and subsequently start reverting and breaking down, we're going to have something similar here, but upside down. So that appears to be more so the case. And even if so, we're just going to end up retesting back roughly the same areas and ranges we tested before, which is kind of the range of 60. Jesus. And if you look carefully, you're going to realize here it is. Here's that 60 level. Here it was retested, and there I say it. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. I already got carried away. I didn't notice the. Of course, I want a weekly. Of course. So the grand scheme of things, of course, is still stupid bullish over time, right? So we're seeing that we're doing this, moving towards this edge, and very shortly, oil will be unpleasant. Oil will be expensive. It is something we saw and spoke about a lot before. That's it. Pulse Hems is going to be the last one. I should have said so earlier, but that's my fault. We do hymns and hairs. And many hairs. All the hairs in the world. Now this is unsurprisingly... Oh, is it though? Wait, let me kind of get the full impression of hymns and hairs. Hymns and hairs. Что такое там? It's daily. That is bearish, but it's not all that strong, and still that's interesting. Monthly lack of confidence. That's interesting. I would need also probably a grid right there, and I kind of see it because I'm lucky like that. Wrong layout. Let's do this quick thing. Um, which gives me somewhere here, 35. Well, sure makes sense. 25. As this appears, you've already ran out of momentum and now you're squeezing backwards, and some of it was done throughout this uh, very prolonged quarter, if you will, extended quarter that was just insanely abnormal. And right now you're in overbought territory, objectively. Here we don't have data. There's no point in looking at this. I'm a moron. But as we normally say, something that sort of starts so low ends up going higher, right? As we say, from the low we go higher, from the highs we go drop, and since you've completed the first movement, it's not going to be all that surprising that what the market is looking for is a downwards movement. It's not yet fully certain, but it kind of is visible for the lack of confidence here, for the for that downwards pressure, if you will, that is starting to accumulate, right? You can kind of see it. Well, more so like so, if anything, right? What else? What else? What else? What else we saw there? The weekly. Oh, look, it is bearish and oversold. Do I really have to say anything? I mean, it's going towards convergence, right? But even that normally takes a period of time, which, if we're going to be objective, 49 days. So you're looking at least a couple of months, because it's the weekly. You know, we're looking several weeks, couple of months. Not several, I mean several, right? And remember, there's a lot of bearish momentum on all the other time frames. So it appears to be that you're already overtaking and going to do something akin to this. It just might not result with the same lows, not yet at least, but definitely expect 29 range, high 28s. It appears to be potentially, moving alongside this wedge at the bottom. So yeah. Very much so, that is the case to me with hims and hers. So still very wonky and slow, sluggish, but still on the grand scheme of things, it is moving, getting prepared with a more heavier and significant movement to move downwards. That is it. All right, boys and girls, I think, on the last minute of the market. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. For some reason, I thought we were like so off, and we're like, 20 minutes in and not really paying attention, just going with the analysis and all that, and we are perfectly in line with everything. That is just magnificent. That is just wonderful. Alrighty, boys and girls. I'm a little bit tired. I had a bit of a long day. Call sessions, everything. Before we sign off, real quick, I'm gonna remind everybody, to those who have not yet joined the Patreon, the academy, the one-on-one academy, in which I teach you how to do advanced, proper technical analysis, so you do not have to rely on anyone, no talking heads, no Greg, no anybody. You can actually do it on your own, right? Your own leisure, understand what it is that you're seeing, speak on the same level as other analysts, and really truly interpret the market. I mean, what is better than this? And that's kind of the thing that we're here here for, and then you're going to be able to subsequently make the more educated decision rather than just relying on a gut feeling. Because, as we say, if you have a gut feeling, you take it to the bathroom, maybe it will pass, right? Gut feelings are unpleasant. You take them to the bathroom, they pass. All right. Boys and girls, we love you all. I see this. Casey, you're on a killer streak, bro. I mean, you're on a killer streak. So, thank you, Greg. My pleasure, boys and girls. Aqua, you're an awesome member and admin and moderator. Thank you so much for being there and helping me out so much. Johnny, you're an awesome member and have great stocks that you bring to the table to analyze and see and talk. Keep on, doing that. Bad Wars Gang, likewise, huge contribution. All of you guys are amazing. Casey, thank you again. Like I said, you had a killer thing on your own. I'm not gonna talk about that, but you've basically, You won that round with hands down. Have a great night. Yeah, Leo, thank you very much. Leo, also, I appreciate all your support. Stonks, Christoph, all of you boys and girls. Like I said, Mircha, Mikey, there, all of you boys and girls, you're all awesome. Thank you. Without you, this community is nothing. So, really, I mean, I'm serious. And yeah, I guess see you on the Discord. See you on the next one. Definitely, we're moving into a different routine and schedule, and I will inform everybody once I'm more certain about things. But I'm currently working on it. But yeah, it's moving closer in big steps. See you on the moon. Bye, Mircha. Have a good night, morning, afternoon, all of you. See you on the Discord. Bye bye.